If you want to edit short form content in DaVinci Resolve, but aren't sure where to start, this video will walk you through the entire process step by step. We'll cover setting up your project, color correcting, trimming and cutting your footage, adding sound effects, and using the best export settings. I'll also show you how you can create 2 simple viral effects you can use in your next short. Plus, I've included practice footage so you can follow along with me the whole way. By the end of this video, you'll be editing like a pro. So let's dive in. All right. Before we jump into editing, I want to point out that this video is a little longer. It's one that you might want to bookmark and come back to as you grow as an editor. I'm a big believer that practice makes perfect. And I don't want this to be another tutorial that you watch. I want you to follow along and actually build the edit with me. To make that easy, I've linked the raw footage from the shoot below completely free to download. I've also linked a free video editing starter pack courtesy of Content Creator Templates. This is the most affordable platform DaVinci Resolve editors are using to access over 2,000 templates, 50,000 sound effects, hundreds of LUTs, and tons more. The free pack that you can download includes 3 motion graphics, 2 transitions, orange and teal LUTs, a gradient background, a film mat, and 5 sound effects. I use this exact pack in almost every edit, so you'll definitely want to grab it. Content Creator Templates even has an extension for DaVinci Resolve that lets you download macros and LUTs directly into DaVinci Resolve. I'll show you how that works later in the video, but for now, we gotta edit this thing, so let's dive in. All right, to start, we're going to quickly cover the layout of DaVinci Resolve so you know where all the important buttons are. Then we're gonna set up a project with the right settings, bring the clips into the timeline, trim and cut them, create a couple of those cool viral effects, add some B-roll, captions, and finally export the video. It sounds like a lot, but it's really just 7 steps. I'm super hyped. Hopefully you are too. Let's get started and open up DaVinci Resolve. All right, so we are going to open up DaVinci Resolve. Now, when you open up DaVinci Resolve, this is the page that you'll see. If you haven't made a project before, you won't see all of these different thumbnails on the screen. These are just different projects that I've made in the past. Now, to create a new project, what we're gonna wanna do is navigate to this button down here, which is the New Project button. We're gonna select that, and now we have the ability to name our project. I'm gonna call this Short Form Video, and now I'm gonna hit Create. And just like that, now we're inside of DaVinci Resolve. Now, if you're opening up DaVinci Resolve for the first time, it can definitely look a little intimidating, mainly because you have these 7 different tabs down here. And I honestly think that this is what trips up a lot of new editors in DaVinci Resolve, just because they're not sure what page to start on. When you're starting out with DaVinci Resolve, there's really only one page that you need to focus on, and that is the edit page. So all of these other pages we can pretty much ignore for now. We'll use the deliver page at the end of the video, and we might tap into the color page to do a couple small color corrections. Let's go ahead and click on the edit page. Now, maybe you've used DaVinci Resolve in the past, or maybe this is legit your first time opening up this software and seeing this interface. Well, one thing about software is I like to know where everything is. I immediately feel more confident when I know where the main buttons are and how to navigate the most important parts. So let me show you those right now. I'm gonna break this page into 4 different parts: left, middle, right, and bottom. The left section contains these tabs at the top of the screen: Media Pool, Effects, Index, and depending on what version you have, you might see Sound Library and Keyframes. I have DaVinci Resolve 20. I would definitely recommend downloading that if you haven't already. They have a ton of cool features, but you don't need it for this video. Whatever version of DaVinci Resolve you have is totally fine. Now, there's one button in the left section that you'll definitely be using the most, and that is Media Pool. This allows you to view the footage that you import into DaVinci Resolve. So let's do that now and get some footage in here. I'm gonna go down to Finder right here and pull out the files that we're using for this video. So these are just located on my SSD. Maybe you downloaded the footage and saved it to your desktop. Doesn't really matter. All you have to do is pull up this folder right here, DaVinci Resolve Short Form. If we double click and open this up, inside you'll see A-roll and B-roll. Now it's super important to keep this as organized as possible. So what I'm gonna do is hit back, Now, the simplest way to get this folder into DaVinci Resolve is to just drag and drop. So what I'm going to do is click this folder just like this. I'm going to drag this and drop it into this small rectangle right here. Now you might see this notification pop up right here. For now, all we have to do is hit change. I'll explain why this is popping up in a little bit. So after we hit that, now if we go up to this small rectangle right here, notice how we can see master, and then the folder, and then A-roll and B-roll. Check this out, this is super organized. So if I close up both of these, and I double click into this one, now we have A-roll and B-roll. So if I needed to access an A-roll clip, all I would have to do is go into this folder just like this, double click, and now I can see my A-roll. If I wanted to go into B-roll, I could go down here, click this, and now I can see my B-roll. Organization is key. That is for sure the simplest way to get footage into DaVinci Resolve, keep it nice and organized. So I'm just gonna go up to master real quick, and I'm gonna delete this. All I did there was just hit the delete button on my keyboard. Now what I'm gonna do is pull up Finder again. I'm gonna take this same folder and drag it into this bigger rectangle right here. I'm gonna drop that, and notice how it did not apply the folder structure over here under master. This is not what we want to do because it didn't organize the A-roll versus the B-roll. So now I really have no idea how to quickly tell whether or not something is A-roll or B-roll. I think that's a super important distinction. We want to drop it into this one right here to maintain the folder structure versus if we drop it in here, we'll lose that folder structure. So I'm just going to go over here, hit Command Z, pull up Finder again, drag and drop that into our small rectangle right here. And if you're not seeing this panel over here, just make sure that you have Media Pool selected on this top bar right here. Now that pretty much does it for the most important button in the left here. That is Media Pool. Effects, index, you don't really need to worry about right now. We'll dive into effects a little later on in the video, so we'll touch on this button then. But for right now, Media Pool is for sure the most important. Now let's move on to the middle part of the screen. And this is where all of the playback happens. So if I go into the A-roll folder right here, and I hover over this clip, notice how it's playing back in the middle section right here. If I go over to B-roll and hover over this one, or this one, notice how it's also playing in the middle right here. If I were to go back up to A-roll, click, and drag this into our timeline right down here. Now if I hit play on my spacebar, notice how this video from the timeline is now getting displayed in the middle section right here. If I were to go back to B-roll and hover over, now I'm previewing the B-roll. If I were to take my mouse and stop hovering over the B-roll right up here, now the preview window will be occupied by the timeline down below. And that transitions perfectly into the bottom section right here, which is the meat and potatoes, the timeline. This is where you'll be able to cut, trim, add multiple layers, pretty much anything that you need to do to the video. This will be done in the timeline section. Notice how down here it's split into two different sections. We have video and audio. Everything below this bar right here will be related to audio, and everything above will be related to video. Now what I'm gonna do is select the clip just like this, and this will transition us into the right portion of our screen. And that is the inspector area. This is where we can change the properties of our footage. For example, if I want to zoom the clip in, I can do that here. If I wanted to rotate the video, I could do that here. Or if I wanted to bring up the audio, I could click the audio icon right here and drag up the volume. So these are the four main areas that we're going to be spending 90% of the time. In this video, we'll be going over a lot more, but in my opinion, these are the biggest needle movers. All right, so now that we know where everything is, let's jump into step number one, setting up your project. All right, let's navigate to this gear icon in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Now we're going to click on this. And after doing so, you'll see this menu pop up right here. Now, there are a lot of different settings here, but the one that you really only have to worry about is this one right here, timeline resolution. Now, we're making this video for Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. So we want to make sure that we optimize this as a vertical video. So we're going to make sure that we check this box right here, use vertical resolution. So notice what that did right here. That just switched these two numbers. Now we have a vertical resolution. Now, right now I have this timeline set to standard HD. I think that's totally fine for social media. And honestly, it's a bit easier on the computer when editing. So I'm gonna keep that at standard HD. If you have footage and you shot it in 4K and you wanna edit it in 4K as well, you would change that resolution here. What you would do is come up here, click this drop down, and now you would locate the resolution that you shot in. So that would be 2160 by 3840 Ultra HD, and you would click that. The most important part is you just want to make sure that you still have this selected right here. Now you might be wondering what that change timeline frame rate button was that you saw earlier. All that was asking is what frame rate would you like to edit this video in? DaVinci Resolve defaults to 24 frames per second. So unless your footage was shot in 24 frames per second, you'll get that message. All DaVinci is asking is, would you like to change the timeline frame rate to match the frame rate of your video? In this case, we would. That's why we hit change. If we go to the project settings, notice how ours is slightly different. It says 23.976. This is pretty normal for cameras to record in this frame rate. And honestly, if you're making a quick video for social media and you shot in 23.976 and you edit in 24 frames per second, it's really not the end of the world. I don't think anybody would be able to tell. If you shot your footage in 30 frames per second, it's totally cool to edit in 30 frames per second as well. Generally, 24 frames per second has a bit more of that cinematic feel, so I usually opt for 24 frames per second. If you shot your footage in 60 frames per second, you would not want to change the frame rate because 60 is going to give you more of that video game style look, unless that's what you're going for. Then you could totally edit in 60 frames per second. But if you shot your footage in 60 frames per second and you want it to look cinematic, you would want to opt for 24 frames per second. For this video, I'm going to move back our timeline resolution to 1080 by 1920. Now I'm just going to hit save. Perfect. Now that we are timeline and frame rate wizards, let's jump into step number 2. Step number 2 is color and sound. First things first, we want this footage to look and sound great when we're editing it. So let's do a quick color grade. Now, color correction can get super technical in DaVinci Resolve, so I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. We'll still be able to get a great result. And to move on to color correction, we're gonna go down to this page right here, which is the color page. The footage that you're looking at was shot in a log format, which means there's not a lot of saturation to it. So that is the first thing that we're gonna fix. Now on this color page, we're just gonna focus on the color wheels section. So to activate that, what we're gonna do is click this button right here. We wanna hit this little drop down right here and navigate to color wheels. After you select that, you might still see these bars right here. So what we're gonna do is navigate over to these small 3 buttons right here, and we wanna hit the first one. So you should see these wheels right here: lift, gamma, gain, and offset. Starting on the left, lift is equivalent to the shadows of the image. These are all of the darkest parts. Gamma is equivalent to the midtones. This would be affecting the middle brightness of the image. And then gain is affecting the highlights of the image. These are equivalent to the brightest parts. Offset is our global exposure, and this is gonna move everything. For example, it makes the entire image darker or the entire image brighter. Now, to color correct this clip, I could mess around with these manually and adjust everything to bring up the exposure, but I like to be as efficient as possible, especially when I'm making content for social media. So I'm actually gonna apply a LUT, which is essentially a color preset to this footage. And it's gonna make the footage look normal very quickly. The easiest way to do this is by using content creator templates, because when you download them from content creator templates, they automatically install into DaVinci Resolve. This allows you to be super efficient with your editing. So I'm gonna pull up the content creator templates extension. I'm gonna navigate over to LUTs right here. And now I'm gonna go down to corrective right here. And that's because we're trying to correct this footage from log footage to something that looks normal. And Content Creator Templates makes it super easy to find the corrective LUT that you're looking for. In this case, we are going to go to a Sony one because we shot this on a Sony camera. And now we're just looking for the picture profile that we shot in. In this case, it was S-Log3. So I'm gonna hit download. After hitting that, I got this notification that the download was complete. So I'm going to hit close here. Now I'm going to navigate back to DaVinci Resolve, and I'm going to click on this button in the top right here, which is LUTs. Now I'm just going to go to this top folder right here, which is LUTs, click that, right click, and hit refresh. After that, you should see this folder right here, which is Content Creator Templates. I'm just going to hit this drop down right here. I'm going to navigate to Corrective because we just downloaded a corrective LUT. Hit this drop down, and you should see Sony S-Log3. Perfect. Now all I have to do is click on this right here. That's going to open up the LUT right here, and I'm just going to double click that. And that will apply this LUT to this footage right here. Now, LUTs are not a one-stop shop, but they certainly make the editing workflow quite a bit faster. As you can tell, that just pumped a ton of color into this footage, and it didn't really take any time at all. Now I can navigate down to our color wheels down here, make any adjustments as needed to make this image look exactly the way I want it. To start off, I'm going to navigate to Lift and start bringing up these shadows a little bit to add some color down in the hand area. Perfect, something like that is pretty good. Now I'm going to adjust the gamma down here, and I'm going to slide this down a little bit because there's quite a lot of light on the face, and I'm just going to try to decrease that just a little bit. Perfect, something right about like this. That's pretty good right here. Now I'm going to bring down the gain a little bit because there's quite a lot of light on the face right here. I'm going to try to get rid of some of the shine happening on the forehead and the cheek right here. So I'm going to click this bar down here and drag it down just a little bit. Something like that is pretty good. I'm going to bring up the shadows a little bit more, which is the lift. Perfect. Now that just added a lot more light to the face right here. So to make it a bit more contrasty, I'm just going to bring down the gamma a little bit more. Not a lot, just a tiny amount. Now I'm not going to do anything with the offset because I don't want to increase the exposure of the whole image, and I don't want to decrease the exposure of the whole image. So to reset these values right here, I'm just going to navigate to this button right here and click that. Now, I think this turned out super good. It really didn't take that much time to do at all. Like I said, LUTs are not one-stop shops, but they definitely get you to a great starting point very quickly. To see the before and after of this, all we had to do is go up to this green triangle right here, click this, hold down, and that's going to show the before. And if we release, that's going to show the after. Inside of the free YouTube video editing starter pack, I actually included this same exact corrective LUT and an install guide on how this can be installed manually inside of DaVinci Resolve. If you want it to be installed automatically, I definitely recommend checking out Content Creator Templates. Huge help, and it speeds up the workflow quite a bit. Now, we could even stylize this content a bit more if we wanted to. It's pretty common for creators to have a branded look on their short form content. This is really easy to do with a creative LUT. To do this, I'm going to pull the extension back up. Now I'm going to navigate to Creative. And I want to do something with low saturation, so I'm going to navigate down to Saturations and click Low. Now to find one that I like, I can hover over the video like this, scroll back and forth to kind of get a nice preview of how this LUT could look on my footage. I don't want to add something too crazy to this video. I just want something kind of subtle. So I'm going to look for something that's pretty subtle here. This one's really cool right here. This is also really cool. Let's do something a bit more subtle. I think this one right here will be perfect. So I'm going to go up here and hit download. And just like that, it's now downloaded into DaVinci Resolve. So I'm going to hit close, go back to DaVinci Resolve, and I'm going to go up here to the LUTs folder, right click, and hit refresh. Now if I go down to Content Creator Templates, hit this drop down, and navigate to Creative, hit this drop down, and now I can see our creative LUT that we downloaded right here. I can click this. Now what I don't want to do is double click it at this point right here. It's going to look really weird. That's because I would be applying this LUT to this video node right here. There's no need to get too in the weeds with this, but essentially what we want to do is create another one of these and add the creative LUT to the second one. So we can think about this. This would be the corrective LUT on this one right here. We don't want to apply a creative LUT to the corrective LUT. We just simply want to make another one of these and add another correction layer on top of this video. Very easy to do. All we had to do is right click, we can go to add node, and now we can click corrector. Now what I can do is take this, drag it up to this line right here. So now what I can do is click this and drag it onto this right here. Now it doesn't look like a ton has happened, but if we click on the before and after, we can see a very subtle change that I think adds a really cool look to this video. So to see the before and after, I'm just gonna click here. Notice how this just got grayed out. Now this is disabled. Now I'm gonna activate it again by clicking right here. We can do the same thing on the first layer as well. So if I click this, now we just have the second layer showing right here. I want to activate this, so I'm going to click this again. Now we have both layers showing right here, and I think this looks awesome. If I really didn't like this creative LUT at all I'd have to do is right click and then go to reset node grade. That's going to remove the creative LUT. Now I can go to something else here, for example, this one, and I can click and drag this on. And that looks way crazier. That's a much more intense color grade. From here, I could play around with the shadows and the highlights to get this looking the way that I want it to. If I don't want the creative LUT at all I have to do is go up to the creative LUT section right here, right click, and scroll down to delete node. Now I'm just left with the corrective LUT. And real quick, if you don't see these nodes appearing right here, all you have to do is come over here and click this nodes button. If I want to hide the nodes, all I have to do is click that. That gives me a bit more space here. If I want them to appear again, I can just click that button and they'll pop up just like this. Awesome, now that we got our footage looking epic, let's make it sound great. So I'm gonna go back to our edit page right down here and click this. Now the main thing that we're trying to do with audio levels is bring them up so the viewers watching our video don't have to crank up the volume on their iPhone or Android phone. We want our audio levels to be seamless from video to video so it's not distracting on social media. To do this, DaVinci Resolve makes it super simple. First thing what we're gonna wanna do is navigate down here and just drag this bar down so we can start to see some audio levels appear underneath our video. I'm gonna go to this bar right here and bring this up, bring this down a bit more so we can see. Next up, what we wanna do is right click on our video and we wanna go to normalize audio levels. Click this. For this first dropdown, we can set it to true peak. And our target level, we can set to -2.0. Now I'm gonna hit normalize. And DaVinci Resolve is gonna do a little bit of magic here and bring up the audio levels on our video track. Now, if I were to play this video real quick, DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there and it's totally free. Now, this sounds pretty good, but we actually don't have a gauge as to how loud these volume levels are. So to change that, we're gonna navigate up to this top section of our screen right here, which is Mixer. I'm gonna click this. And now if I go back to this video right here, we'll be able to see how loud these volume levels are. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there, and it's totally free. Perfect, DaVinci Resolve brought these up to a great level. Really, we want this volume to be hitting right around -5 dB. That is perfect. If we play this video back and DaVinci Resolve didn't bring them up enough, all we have to do is click the audio tab right up here, and now we can manually bring these volume levels up. That's really the biggest lever with audio on social media videos. We just want to make sure that they're brought up enough so they blend seamlessly from video to video on social media. If you shoot for this -5 range, you're going to be in a really good spot. You definitely want to avoid going past that towards 0 because once it gets past 0, the audio is going to sound really distorted and clipped. -10 to -5 is a pretty good range to land in. All right, now that our footage looks and sounds great, it's time to move on to step number 3, cutting and trimming. When making short form content, it's really important to keep the pacing of the video quick and tight. So I'm gonna go down to the timeline right here and notice how we have all of these blank spots in between the talking portions. These indicate the times where there's no audio happening. This might be when you're pausing, looking at the script, or trying to figure out what to say next. In this case, I read the script off of my phone, so each of these pauses was between when I was looking at the phone for the next line and then when I was delivering the line. We obviously wouldn't want to keep these in the video, so let's go ahead and cut out all of these dead spaces. Now to trim and cut the audio, there's a couple tools that we'll be using. The first way to trim the audio is to click at the beginning of the video just like this, and then drag our mouse to the right. notice how after I did that, I just got rid of all of this space at the beginning of the video right here. I'm gonna hit Command Z on my keyboard to bring this back. The other method that we could do is use our blade tool right here, select this, and then hover over our video track to the point that we wanna make a cut. For example, I wanna make a cut right here, so I'm going to click. Now I just made a cut on our timeline. Now, if I click again, notice how that just made another cut. If I click over here, I'm making another cut. Instead of continually making cuts, we actually want to use this tool right here, which is the selection tool. So I'm going to select this. Now I can select the clips that I want to delete by clicking, dragging, and highlighting, and then hitting delete on our keyboard. I'm going to select this video, delete this, and drag out the beginning of our video just to bring it back to the original form. Now, cutting is definitely one of the most effective ways to quickly cut out the dead spaces. For example, I could come here, select the blade tool, click this, go over here, click this, then I could go back to the selection tool, then I could come back over here, select this middle section, click delete, click into this gap right here, and then click delete. It definitely works. It's just a very slow and tedious process. There's a much faster way to do this, and that's using 3 very simple keyboard shortcuts. Ideally, by using keyboard shortcuts, it should shave off a lot of time during the cutting and trimming process. So let me show you those 3 keyboard shortcuts right now. I'm gonna select this, delete this, and I'm gonna bring this back to its original form. Perfect, so now we're back to the original video. And just like before, I want to delete this section right here. So what I'm going to do is select our video, and I'm going to use a shortcut called Ripple Delete Left. And by utilizing Ripple Delete Left here, what it's doing is moving this clip to the left and deleting this section of the video right here. To do this on the keyboard, I'm going to hit Command Shift left bracket. And check that out, that just deleted the part of the video that we didn't want anymore, and it moved the video over to the left. Now if I hit play, DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there, and it's totally free. And it's 100% free. You could do cool effects like this. Cool, so I have this alternative version right here that you could try out if you want to use this one in the video. I'm just going to use the original as I think that sounds great. And our next talking point right here would be this line. You could do cool effects like this. And I want to bring this in right here after I say this line. And it's totally free. Perfect. So what I'm going to do now is use our second keyboard shortcut, which is cutting. And this keyboard shortcut is Command B. This essentially does the same exact thing as the blade tool. It's just a lot faster. So with the playhead over where we want to make this cut, I'm going to hit Command B. Perfect. Now I'm going to drag our playhead to the beginning of our next clip right here. So this is where we want the video to start at the playhead right here. And all of this in here is footage that we don't need. So this is the alternate take that I did. And this is the beginning of our next line. So I'm going to select our clip. And now I'm going to use the same keyboard shortcut that we used at the beginning of this clip right here, which is Ripple Delete Left. To do this, we're gonna hit Command, Shift, and then hit left bracket. Perfect, so now we have something that looks like this. And it's totally free. You could do cool effects like this. Perfect, now the last keyboard shortcut that I'm gonna show you is the opposite of Ripple Delete Left. This one is Ripple Delete Right. Now to demonstrate this, I'm gonna pretend that this line right here is the last line in our video, and we want to delete everything after this. So this is where our video ends, and all of this content over here we want to delete. To do Ripple Delete Right, we want to hit Command, Shift, right bracket. Perfect, and notice how that just deleted everything after this playhead right here. Using those 3 keyboard shortcuts will speed up the trimming and cutting process so much. I'm going to hit Command Z because obviously we want all of this content in here. Now, if I want to trim the end of the clip, all I have to do is click on the end, hold down, and drag it over just like this. I'm going to hit Command Z and bring that back. Now, one thing that happens when you're cutting and trimming is sometimes you might trim the clip a little bit too tight on the audio, or maybe you leave a little bit too much space on the audio like this. Totally free. You could do, see how there's a lot of space afterwards? What we can do is navigate to the cut right here. Now a very easy way to navigate quickly to the exact cut point. If we want to navigate left on the timeline, we would hit the up arrow. And if we want to navigate to the right, for example, if I want this playhead to navigate to this point right here, I would hit down on the arrow pad. So again, real quick, if the playhead was right here and I want to navigate backwards, I can hit up on the arrow pad. If it's over here and I want to navigate quickly over here, I can hit down on the arrow pad. Now what I can do is use my left and right arrow keys on my keyboard to get more specific on how much I want to trim off at the beginning or end of this clip. For example, I think this is good right here. So now I'm going to navigate to the end of our clip and I want to click and drag this backwards. It's very important not to roll the clip. For example, notice how if I click in the middle right here, notice how everything is selected. And I didn't actually remove anything. I just extended this backwards. So I'm going to hit Command Z. What I want to do instead is click and drag just the clip that I want to affect the timing on. To close out this middle section, all I have to do is click into the blank space like this and then hit delete on my keyboard. Now we have something that sounds like this. And it's totally free. You could do cool effects like this. Perfect, and now the pacing is much better. A couple buttons that you will be using a ton when it comes to cutting and trimming are these 3 buttons right here. This first one, if I click this, zooms out and shows us the entire timeline. This next one, if I click it, will zoom in to the red playhead line. And this third button over here allows us to custom zoom all the way out or zoom in as much as we'd like. Using these 3 buttons helps a lot when we're trying to be really accurate on our cuts on the timeline. So using the cutting and trimming methods, I'm just gonna go through this video real quick and cut out the dead space. All right, so I just finished up cutting out the dead space, and now we have a super tight timeline. Now, one thing that I love to do on social media content is a quick effect called punching in and punching out. This kind of gives the illusion that we were recording this video with multiple cameras, when in reality, it was just one. If we look at this footage right now, it looks good, but it kind of feels like I'm far away from the camera. So what I'm gonna do real quick is reframe this clip. I'm gonna click the video. Now I'm gonna navigate up to Inspector, and make sure video is selected. Now I'm gonna navigate down to Zoom X, click and drag this in. Now it looks like there's just a little bit too much room on the top right up here. So I'm gonna go to Position X, go to Y, and slide this over. So the subject is framed a little bit better. Just like that, I think that looks good. Editing software out there, and it's totally free. You could do, now it looks really weird to zoom out that far. So I wanna use this as our base clip right here. And what I wanna do for this clip is punch in a little bit more based off of the attributes of this clip. Now, because I reframed this clip to the way that I want it, I don't wanna have to memorize all of these numbers right here and then do the same thing for all of these videos. Instead, what I can do is select this clip with the proper reframe settings, hit Command C. Now what I can do is highlight all of these clips. I can hit Option V. That's gonna bring up our window right here. And now it's asking what attributes I would like to apply to all of these other video tracks. In this case, the only one that we're really interested in is Zoom, X, and Y. So we just wanna make sure that this is selected right here. Now I'm gonna hit Apply. Cool, now if I go back here and play this through, and it's totally free. You could do, that's awesome. Notice how the framing that was in this clip has now been applied to all of these video tracks just like that. But we wanted to punch in on this video track. We didn't want it to be the exact same. So now what we can do is select this video and we can just punch in a little bit more. I'm gonna go to Zoom X, punch in just a little bit more, and I'm gonna move the Y down a little bit. So now I can check the eye line between the 2 clips. Perfect, so it looks like the eyes are on the same exact line there. We wouldn't want the second clip to be way up here or way down here, as that would look very weird when we were cutting from the next clip. So we wanna bring those up. Perfect, so just like that is perfect. Now if we play this back, this is what the cut looks like. Totally free. You could do cool effects like this. Awesome, it already feels a lot more engaging. Now with punching in and punching out, we want to apply this to every other clip. That way it looks like we're cutting in between two cameras every single cut. Now I don't want to copy these same attributes on this clip and this clip. Instead, what I'm going to do is select the clip with the new attributes that we want. This is the clip with the punched in settings right here. So I'm going to hit Command C. Now I don't want to apply the settings to this clip, but I do with this clip. So what I'm going to do is hold down Command, click this, and I'm going to keep Command held down and click this video as well. Now I'm going to hit Option V. And again, all I want to do is select zoom here because I want scale X and scale Y. I don't need to select anything else here. So now I'm going to hit apply. And we should have just punched in on this clip and this clip. Let's check out how we did. Editor templates or color correct footage in seconds using a LUT. You could go from beginner to pro without spending a single dollar. Seriously, this is insane. Awesome. I think this looks so good. That's a super easy way to make your videos more engaging. All right, let's move on to step 4 in the editing process, and that is adding B-roll. Now, the main thing with B-roll is that we're trying to emphasize talking points that are happening on the A-roll track. Let's find a cool spot in this timeline where we can add some B-roll. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and hit play. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there, and it's totally free. You could do cool effects like this, add a sweet title from content creator templates, or color correct footage in seconds using a LUT. You could go from beginner to pro without spending a single dollar. Seriously, this is insane. Cool, so there are a couple of really good spots in here to add some B-roll. I think this clip right here is gonna be a great starting point. So what we can do here is go up to our B-roll folder. So Master, DaVinci Resolve, B-roll. And let's find a cool shot that works here. I think this clip is perfect. Nice little shot of me working at the computer. Now, once we find the B-roll clip that we like, there's a couple different ways that we can apply this to our timeline. The first way is to click and drag right onto our timeline just like this. I'm just gonna drop it at the end of the timeline. That's one way to do it. And then from here, you can click, drag it up a layer, and then you can move it into place. This is not a very efficient way to do it though, just because you have this huge clip that you then need to trim down even more to get the timing right onto your video track. And it's just kind of clunky. It takes up a lot of space and you might accidentally overlay this clip on some other footage later on as the video timeline gets more complicated. So I'm just going to select this and delete it. What I'm going to do is just come down here and shrink up our audio, grab this bar and move this down just so we have a bit more real estate right up in here. The second way to add B-roll into our timeline right here is a much more efficient way. This is the way that I prefer. First, we want to select our clip in the preview window. So I'm just going to hover over it and then double click it. Now what I can do is go to our scroll bar right down here, and I'm just going to look for the part that I want to use. So I want to start the clip right about here. Now on my keyboard, I'm going to select I. I'm going to hit the space bar to play the video. And I'm gonna pause, just hit the spacebar again, and now I'm gonna hit O. So what that did is just selected an in point and an out point. Now, if I hover over our video in the preview window right here, notice how I have these two different icons down here, this one and this one. What these icons are asking me is if I would like to drag the video file into the timeline down here or the audio file. If I don't select either one of these, click and drag this right here, notice how it just brought in both video and audio. I'm gonna hit Command Z. Now, if I go to the video icon right here, click and drag, notice how that just brought in only the video. This is perfect because sometimes the B-roll audio isn't the best. Maybe I don't want to use it and I just want to use the video. That's a very easy way to only drag in the video. If I hit Command Z, go back here, and drag in the audio. Now I only have the audio. This could be useful if you just want the audio from the B-roll track. I'm gonna hit Command Z and just bring in the video. Just like that, perfect. Now let's time this up in our timeline. Effects like this, add a sweet title from content creator templates, or color. So notice how this B-roll track overhangs this cut right here. I want this B-roll track to end right on this hard cut right here. So what I'm gonna do is select this B-roll track, go to the end of the video, click and drag and move this over to the timeline just like this. A really important tool that you'll probably use a ton is this magnet tool right here. This is called the snapping tool. So notice if I extend this part out just like that, if I turn off the magnet and try to drag this in, notice how it's not really snapping to anything on the timeline. It's just kind of moving freely and allowing me to drag to any point on the timeline. But if I turn on the magnet, now when I click and drag, it's snapping to these playheads. This allows for really accurate cuts if you're trying to time up the cuts just like that. I usually always keep snapping on. I think it's a super useful tool. Now, because we're making a short form clip, it's really important to kind of wow the audience. We want them to be engaged the entire time. And one of the easiest ways to do this is using viral editing effects. Now, I made 2 for this video. The second one I'll demonstrate after step 6, but the first one I'll demonstrate right now. It's super easy to do in the editing software, so I'm going to show you how to do that right now, and maybe you can draw some creative inspiration from this and do it in your own shorts. So under B-roll, we're going to navigate up to this clip right here, and I'm going to double click that and load that into our preview window right here. Now, another quick note, depending on your workspace setup, you might see 2 different preview windows right here. If you only want the one video setup that I'm seeing right now, all you had to do is go up to workspace and then toggle on single viewer mode. For example, if I turn this off, notice how I have 2 different viewers. This one on the right is connected to the timeline, and this one on the left is connected to the media pool. I kind of like the single viewer, so I'm gonna go up to workspace and turn on single viewer mode. All right, cool. So the effect that we're gonna do right here is called a cloning effect. So same thing with the B-roll clip selected right here. I'm just gonna locate a point in time where I am kind of on the right side of the frame right here, just kind of hanging out. So I kind of get into character right around here. So I'm going to hit I on my keyboard. Now I'm going to go like this. Nice, kind of pointing at some air right there. And that should be long enough right there. So I'm going to hit O. Perfect. And I just want the video. So I'm going to click and drag this over right here. So notice when I'm trying to drag this in, it's only kind of going down to this video track right here. What I really want is video track 3. Perfect, just like that. I just had to move up on the timeline a little bit to get that to pop up right there. If that wasn't popping up right away, what you could do is just drop it on video track 2, set it in place, click, and then drag it up just like that. We just want to make sure that we're putting this on video track 3 right up here. Alternatively, when you drag it into the timeline, if it's not auto creating that other video track, what you can do is come over to this area right here, right click, and then select add track. Click that. That's going to add another video track. Perfect. So now I'm just going to scroll down a little bit here and move this over to our point right here, because we want this B-roll track to come in when I say in cool effects like this. It's totally free. You could do cool effects like this, add a sweet time. Perfect. So now what we're gonna do is go back to our B-roll clip right here. So double click, select it. And now we wanna find the point when I'm on the other side. Cool, so I'm in character right there. So I'm just gonna hit I, play, and hit O. Perfect, now I'm gonna drag the video down, just like that. I'm going to scroll up a little bit and drag this up to video 4. Cool, so with snapping on, I'm just going to make sure that these are snapped into place, just like that. Now at first, this doesn't really look like anything, because the way that timelines work is it's prioritizing the top track first. So we're not seeing this bottom track or even this track right here. The only track that's visible right now is this top track. But to get this bottom track to show up, because that's gonna expose the other half of this image right here, we have to do a pretty fun effect, and that is called a mask. And it's pretty easy to do, so let's jump right into it. So we're just gonna select that top track again real quick, and then we're gonna go back down to the color page right here. Click this, and we actually don't want to look at the color wheels down here. We wanna look at a different window, and that is the window button right here. So we're gonna click this, and what we're looking for is this icon right here. So click this pen looking icon. Now what we're gonna do is draw a mask around the subject right here. So as you notice, that just kind of jumped out just like that. It's really important. We wanna have a gray border around the image just like that. So what you can do is go up to this little icon right up here, click this. That's gonna give you different percentages to see how zoomed in or zoomed out you want this image. So actual size is 100%. This doesn't really help us because we can't really access outside of this window right here. Good for color correcting, but not what we're trying to do right now. We want to click this and do something more like 75%. 75% is perfect. This will work great. Now what we're going to do is start up here, place a point, go down to the bottom like that, place another point. Now we can go over here, place a point, come up here, place a point, and we can close it off just like that. Now after we close that off, we're going to want to go to the node section right here, right click, and then select add alpha output. Select that. And now we're just going to connect these two blue lines just like that. And after you do that, you should see the second subject appear just like that. Now, because we have two clips stacked on top of one another, it's very important that we blend these two clips together just so it looks seamless. So we're going to go down to this section right here, which is softness, and we are going to start increasing that. And that is adding blur to this box right here. So we can move this up quite a bit. Cool, so I have this set to 7 right here. Now we can even move this box over a little bit more if we want to, make it a little bit more in the middle. So I'm just going to go up to this line right here, move this over, kind of go over here. Something like that looks pretty good. Now let's go back to the edit page and see how well these were blended together. I'm going to click the edit page and boom, just like that, that looks pretty seamless. So now if we go back here and play this through, this is what it looks like. And it's totally free. You could do cool effects like this, add a sweet time. That looks awesome. So now what we can do is click on this clip right here and we can make these end at the same time. I'm going to drag this back here. And now I'm going to do the same thing here, click back here and drag this over. And now to remove this gap down here, I can select both of these clips and drag them down just like that. So now the video cuts seamlessly from this B-roll track to this one. And it's totally free. You could do cool effects like this, add a sweet title from content creator templates. Now, one thing that I think is super important with B-roll clips is you want to time them up to these hard clips right here. You don't want B-roll to end right before these hard cuts because the video is gonna look a little skippy. For example, if I play this part back, content creator templates or color. Notice how it just kind of ends and skips right into the next video. It looks a lot more seamless if it ends on this hard cut. If I play this back, creator templates or color correct footage in sec, it just looks a lot more seamless. Definitely stick around for the viral effect that we're going to be doing after step 6. It's super sick and you can definitely use it in your next short. All right, the last thing that we're going to be doing to close out this section is this really cool color grade snap effect. And to do that, we are going to click on this A-roll track right here. And I'm going to hold down Option and we're going to duplicate this up a layer just like that. Duplicating is something that you'll use all the time. Now notice how we also have the audio track duplicated as well. This is something that we don't want as it's going to double the volume. So all we have to do to get rid of this is hold down Option, select the audio track. That's going to isolate the audio track. Now we can just hit delete. Cool, so now we just have the one audio track here. So what I'm gonna do is find the point when I snap. So right like that motion right there. Now what I'm gonna do is select the top clip and I'm gonna hit Command B. Now what I'm gonna do is locate to the second half of the clip and delete that. That's because we won't be needing it. Now what I'm gonna do is select the first half of the video, go back to the color tab right here. And what I want to do here is remove the color grade. So check this out. This is a super important point right here. These are the blue blocks replicating the timeline that's happening on the edit page. If you don't see that, all you have to do is click this timeline button right up here. Now notice how right now it's selected on the bottom track. That's actually the A-roll track. We want to remove the color grade of the top one. So I'm going to select that. And notice now I'm selecting the top video track. So now to remove the color grade of this video track, all I have to do is right click on this node up here. And all I'm going to do is hit reset node grade. Perfect, so that should eliminate the LUT that we put on this video track earlier. Now if I go back to the edit page right here and click this, I should have this pretty cool snap effect happening. Or color correct footage in seconds using a LUT. Pretty cool. So the main thing that we're doing there is duplicating this video track and then removing the color correction on the top video track, cutting it at the snap, and then removing the second half of the video after the snap. B-roll is definitely one of the most fun parts about the editing process. It's a great way to make your videos stand out against other people's videos on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram Reels. And if you're trying to film better B-roll, I highly recommend learning the best camera settings, camera angles, and how to light a shot. Pairing all three of these together is what's really gonna get you that pro look way faster. Now we have a lot of content on B-roll on this channel, so I definitely recommend checking out one of those videos after finishing up this video. But if you want a quicker approach, I'm a huge fan of paying for a step-by-step process on how to do things, which is exactly what we do in our 14-day filmmaker program. This course teaches you how to shoot cinematic content on your smartphone or a pro camera if you have one. It only costs $48 and is perfect if you're trying to make better YouTube videos, travel content, social media videos, or even commercials. When you purchase this course, you'll also get access to our students-only community where we run a live Q&A where you can hop on and ask Anthony any questions and get real-time feedback. Plus, we just completely revamped our DaVinci Resolve training. That section will make you way more confident in DaVinci Resolve and take you from beginner to pro, even if it's your first time using the software. If you want to check out 14-Day Filmmaker, there's a link in the description of this video. Now, let's jump right back into DaVinci Resolve. Now we're going to be moving on to step 5, which is adding text and graphics. All right, so I'm going to go to our bar right here and drag this down just so we have a bit more real estate on the video tracks. At the beginning of the video, this is really where we want to capture a lot of the viewer's attention. So an easy way to do this is to add the DaVinci Resolve logo right at the beginning to give them something to look at. Inside of the follow along footage, you'll see this folder labeled graphics. Double click on that, and inside you'll see the DaVinci Resolve logo. Now, instead of just clicking and dragging this image into my timeline just like that, it's gonna make it really unorganized and messy. So I'm gonna hit Command Z. And instead what I would do is go into our DaVinci Resolve short form folder right here, click anywhere in here, right click, select new bin, and we can call this one graphics, hit enter, select graphics, and I would drag this in here. This keeps it nice and organized, and if I add more graphics to this video, I can apply them all right in this graphics folder. Now what I can do is double click this, select an in and out point, click and drag this in, just like that. And I can extend the beginning of this, just like that. And now we can figure out how long we want this graphic to be on the screen. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there. So I want to hold the graphic all the way to this point right here. So I'm going to click the N, drag it to this point. And if I click on the graphic and go anywhere in the middle here, so we can see this graphic is taking up the entire screen. We definitely don't want that. So what we're going to do is go to our transform properties right here, go to zoom X and bring this way down. So right about there. Now we can go to position and move this down using the Y axis just like that. Cool, so now if we go to the beginning, it looks like this. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there. Kind of cool. It's a little basic though right now. So what we can do is add some animation to this graphic. And to do so, we're gonna go up to this tab up here, which is Effects. Click this. Now you don't have to be a pro animator to do cool animations in DaVinci Resolve. We can actually just apply a transition to the beginning of this graphic. So I'm gonna go to Video Transitions, click that. And now I have all of these really cool transitions that I can use that are built into DaVinci Resolve. One of my all-time favorites is called Crash Zoom. So I'm gonna click on this magnifying glass right here and type in Crash Zoom, just like that. And now all I have to do is click and drag this onto the beginning of the graphic. So now if I go back to the beginning, this is what it looks like. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing. Pretty sweet. If I wanted to animate this graphic going out, all I would have to do is click and drag it to the end of the graphic, just like that. Software out there, and it's totally free. I think that looks sick. Now let me show you how you can add custom text to DaVinci Resolve. So we're gonna keep the effects panel open right here. And instead of transitions, we're gonna go to titles. I'm gonna click titles. We can clear out this search filter, so I'm just gonna hit that. And now we have all of these different titles that we can use. For this example, we'll just use a basic title. So I'm going to select this one right here, which is just called text. Alternatively, you can just type it in right here. Just look for text, click, and drag that right here. Perfect, that just created a new video track. So I'm just going to select that and drag it down. And I'm going to move this to the beginning of this video right here. So in this A-roll track, I say you can do cool effects like this. So on this title, why don't we say cool effects? Awesome. Now we have the ability to change the font if we want to. So I can select this and let's go with something fun here. Let's go with Roboto. Sweet. Click that. And I'm going to make this bold. Now I can scroll down a little bit more and I can adjust the stroke, drop shadow, background. I can really customize this to make it look any way that I want. I love adding backgrounds to text, so what I'm going to do is select the color of the background, and I want to make this white. And now I'm going to increase the height to be something like this, and I'm going to increase the width. Now, one of the main things that we got to do right now is make this text a little bit smaller. It's kind of popping off of the screen right now. So I can go to the size of the text and move this down. I think right about there is cool. So we can make this 70. Now I'm going to scroll back down to the background, decrease the width a little bit, drop the height down. Something like that is pretty good. I want to increase the opacity so it's a solid color. Now we can't see the text, so we got to change the color of the font. So I'm going to select this and make this black. Hit OK. And now to adjust the location of this text right here, I can go down to position X and Y, and I'm going to adjust the Y and move this up a little bit, something like that. Now, if I want to make this even smaller, notice how if I went to zoom X and made this smaller, it's just making the text smaller. If I hit Command Z, if I went to size and made this smaller, notice how it's just making the text smaller as well. I'm going to hit Command Z. I want the box to be smaller as well. So I'm going to go up to settings right here, click this, and now I'm going to hit zoom X and make this a bit smaller. Cool, something like that. And now I can go to position X and Y, and I can make this up just a little bit like that. Awesome, that looks pretty good. Now text layers are very similar to video tracks, so I can click on the end of this and trim it just like a video. I could click on the text, go midway through, hit Command B, and that would apply a cut to it just like a video track. I could select the second half and delete it. If I wanted to extend it back out, I could click the end and extend it back out. I can also animate text just like I can do for graphics. So I'm going to select the text, then go to video transitions, click this. I'm going to clear out the search and use another really fun one that's called pop. So pop wobble, I'm going to select this, drag this onto the beginning of the text just like that. Now we have something that looks like this. Totally free. You could do cool effects like this. Sweet, that looks super good. Now built-in text definitely works with DaVinci Resolve, but sometimes it lacks a little bit of that professional touch. If I want to make my videos look as professional as possible, I would definitely use a tool like Content Creator Templates in this situation. It also just makes the workflow way faster. For example, I could pull up the DaVinci Resolve extension right here. I could go to macros, which are kind of like presets for DaVinci Resolve. I could select titles, and now I can pick a title that I want to use. For example, this one right here. To preview it, I could click it and kind of check out some of these titles. Cool. We could go to another page. I kind of like this one right here, the typewriter. So I'm going to click download, and that just downloaded into DaVinci Resolve. So now I can close this. Now I can go to titles, hit this drop down, go to Content Creator Templates, hit the drop down, and I can go to the title that I just downloaded. Now to preview it, I can hover over it just like this. I think this one's sweet, so I'm going to click this and drag it in just like this. Drop it here. Click this. Title from Content Creator Template. And now I can customize this template just like I did with the previous text, although I don't have to build all of these cool animations, they just come built into the text. Now I could go back to title and customize the font and this animation to make it match my brand. And that's a super easy and efficient way of editing because you don't have to build this really cool effect from scratch. Normally building this typewriter effect would take a couple hours, but now you can have it inside of DaVinci Resolve in a matter of seconds. I'm gonna customize this real quick to match our brand. Boom, and just like that, let's check out how this looks. Add a sweet title from Content Creator Templates or color correct footage. Awesome, I think that looks so sick, and I'll definitely be using this typewriter effect quite a bit. All right, the last part of text and graphics that we have to cover is adding captions. This is so important when you're making short form content. That's because so many people watch short form content without the volume on their phones. So you wanna make sure that they can follow along, and the easiest way to do that is with captions. Now I'm gonna show you how you can add these automatically and manually inside of DaVinci Resolve, and I'll also show you one of the biggest mistakes to avoid. So let's start off with adding these automatically. Now, unfortunately, with auto captions, you can only do this inside of the studio version of DaVinci Resolve, and that is the paid version. I know it's kind of a buzzkill. Unfortunately, pretty much every editing software has made this a paid feature, but if you do happen to have DaVinci Resolve Studio, I'll show you how to do that real quick. I'll also show you how you can do this manually afterwards if you have the free version. So what you're gonna wanna do is go down to the timeline down here and select the audio track. So all you have to do is just select right down here in this little box. That's going to select the audio track. Then you're going to want to go up to timeline right here, click this, go down to AI tools, and then navigate over to create subtitles from audio. Click that, and we have a couple different options right here. I'm going to leave this one as is and this one, but I'm going to change this to 10, and I want to make sure that lines is single. Now I'm going to hit create. And boom, just like that, DaVinci Resolve just added captions to our video. So if I go back to the beginning of the video and play this, DaVinci Resolve is the best. We can see that DaVinci Resolve added captions right down here. Now these look super amateur, but there is a very easy way to change that. So let's do that right now. So I'm just gonna click on any one of these captions. And after doing that, I should see this box pop up right in here. Now there's two toggles here, caption and track. I just want to make sure that track is selected. The first thing that we're going to want to do is move these captions up so they're landing right around this area in the body. If they're so low, people aren't going to be able to read them, but we also don't want them too high because we never want to cover up the mouth or anything in this area with the captions. So below the chin, right around this area should be perfect. So I'm going to scroll down until I see transform right here. Then I'm going to go to position, and I want to move these up a little bit. So right about there is perfect. Now we can pick out our font and do a bit of branding here. So I'm going to keep the font the same across the board, do Roboto, and I'm going to do black. And I want to make these all caps. So I'm going to hit font case and then do all caps. And I could really go ham here and customize these however I want. I think a cool thing to add here would be drop shadow. So I'm just going to toggle this on. I'm going to increase the opacity, and I'm just going to make the offset a little bit here. Move them down a little bit and increase the blur just a little bit, just like that. That makes it a bit easier to read. I think something like that looks pretty cool. Now you're probably thinking, great, this one caption looks great, but does that mean I have to make all of these adjustments that I just did on every single caption? The answer is absolutely not. When we're adjusting the captions on the track toggle right here, that's changing the settings for every single caption. If I go back to this caption right here, and if I toggle on caption and then go down to customize caption, now any adjustments that I make, I'm adjusting only this one caption. So if I want to make software red, let's say I want to make it a little bit bigger. And now if I go to the next caption, notice how this caption was not affected, but this caption was customized. Now, one more thing to point out with captions is notice how you have these blank sections right here. If I go to this section right here, notice how the caption kind of cuts off of the screen. I kind of like having the captions always appear. So what I'm going to do is select this caption right here, zoom in a bit, and now what I can do is go to the end of this caption and extend it out just like a text graphic. I can go to this one right here and extend this so it starts exactly on this frame. I can go to this one and extend it out, and I can do that throughout the rest of the video. Now, if I ever need to adjust the words on a caption, all I have to do is click the caption, and I can do that on the caption tab right here. For example, let's say right here I say, and it's that easy. I can add that in right here. I'm just going to select that and delete that. Now, if I wanted to customize how this one caption looks, that's when I would select this button right here. All right, so I'm just going to go through these captions real quick, customize them, and adjust a bit of the branding. All right, so I just finished up customizing these captions, and I adjusted the timing on a few of these. With captions, it's super important to make them as readable as possible. So if someone is saying a word and that caption is not appearing on the screen, I would add it in. Alternatively, if they're not saying the word and that caption is on the screen, I would take it out. This helps with the timing, and I also try to avoid putting lots of captions on the screen. It helps with viewer attention quite a bit if they're only reading 1 or 2 words at a time. All right, the next way to add captions into DaVinci Resolve is through the manual process. Let me show you how to do that real quick. What you're gonna wanna do is go up into this section right here, right click, and then you wanna hit Add Subtitle Track. Click that, and the next thing that we're gonna wanna do is go up into this little gray area right here on the subtitle track, click that. That's going to activate this screen right over here. Now, unfortunately, we are back to the manual process and we have to add these captions individually one by one. So what we're gonna do is hit Create Caption, click that, and we're gonna listen to what I'm saying in the video. So I'm just gonna click here for now and hit play. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there. So now we can click into the subtitle and we can start typing DaVinci Resolve. Now I can go back to the beginning and find out where this is cut. DaVinci Resolve. So I end right there. Now I'm gonna hit Command B. Now I'm gonna click on this and let's see what I say next. Is the best editing. So is the best. Cool. Let's find out where the cut point is. The best editing. Command B. Editing software. So as you can tell, this is a bit more time consuming, but it is a way that you can get captions into DaVinci Resolve in the free version. All right, before we wrap up the text and graphics step, I have to show you a huge mistake to avoid, and that is placing objects outside of the social media safe zone. You see, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels all have their own UI, and you don't want to place captions or graphics on the screen and have those UI elements cover them up. That's why we use a safe zone checker to make sure that we're not covering up important elements. Inside of the free YouTube video editing starter pack, I added one that you can use. Let me show you how it works real quick. So what you're going to want to do is just scroll up to the topmost layer. In this case, video 5. I'm going to open up Finder, and inside of graphics, you'll see Safe Zone. Click that and drag that onto the top layer. Now I'm just going to click back onto the timeline just like this. And first off, I want to make sure it's nice and organized, so I'm going to select Safe Zone right here and drag that to graphics. Cool, so now I'm going to use this tool right here, and this is to zoom out to see the full timeline. I'm going to take the safe zone and drag this all the way to the end of the video. And now we can see if any elements are getting cut off by the safe zone. And in this case, we definitely are. As we can see here, DaVinci Resolve is over the safe zone right here. So this would be covering up UI elements. So what we're going to want to do is go to the caption, and we want to go to track because we want to adjust all of them. And I'm just going to make this a little smaller. Let's go 50. And I'm going to move this up a little bit more. Got to make this a little bit smaller, so I'm going to go 45. Perfect, just like that. That should be good. So now we can play this and see if we're getting covered up anywhere else. DaVinci Resolve is the best. So slightly covered up on this graphic. I'm just gonna move this up a little bit. Perfect, just like that. Best editing software out there, and it's totally free. You could do cool effects like this. Awesome, we're good here. This, add a sweet title from content, all good right here. Creator templates, or color correct footage in seconds using a LUT. You could go from beginner to pro without spending a single dollar. Seriously, this is insane. Perfect, so now we know that we're all good in the safe zone. Now I can either keep this on our timeline in case we add more elements, or I could simply just delete that after we've checked our work. All right, so now we're gonna jump into this really cool viral transition. So what we're gonna do is go up to our B-roll right up here and select this clip. Double click it, and now we wanna set an in point and an out point. So we want the in point to start right about here. So let's hit I, and now let's scrub through, and we can set the out point anywhere right around here. We'll go out, select O. Now what we want to do is only select the video. So let's grab this and drag this into our timeline just like that. Now let's time up where we want to apply this transition. So I'm going to go to the beginning of the clip and hit play. You could go from beginner to pro without spending a single dollar. Okay, cool. So I think this will be perfect when I say pro. So I'm going to turn off snapping real quick, drag this over to pro right there, turn snapping back on, and I'm going to slide this clip over. Now what I'm going to do is go to the end of this clip and drag this right to this hard cut point right here. So this is the clip that we're working with. Now we're going to do something similar to the cloning effect earlier, and this is applying a mask to this video. So let's jump into the color page and do this mask. So let's click color. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is go over here to the window button and select that. Next, we're going to want to select our pen tool right here. Now let's go over to our percentage view right here and hit 50%. This will give us plenty of room to be able to do this mask. Now let's go down to the softness and set this to 3. All right, let's go anywhere in the middle of our video. For example, right here should be absolutely perfect. And what we're going to want to do is mask out everything below this dollar bill right here. So we can click here, 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 and here. Perfect. Now let's go up to our node area, right click, and select Add Alpha Output, and connect these blue dots. Sweet, now we should see both of these two shots on the frame right here. The next thing that we're going to want to do is click on this tracker button right here. Click that, and then select frame. Now using our right and left arrow keys, we can animate this mask. So let's select the right arrow key. And what we're going to want to do is move this mask down below the dollar bill. So find the bottom of the dollar bill, that line right about there, and do the same over here. So we want to follow that dollar bill line right about there. That's pretty good. Now we want to hit our right arrow key again, and we can move this mask down just like that. Let's hit our right arrow key again, and we just want to go to the bottom of the bill, and let's hit it again to the bottom of the bill. And now that the bill is completely covered the screen, we can move this all the way down just like that. So now let's use our left arrow key and mask the top part. So notice right here, these keyframe points, this is the first keyframe. We want to hit our left arrow key, and now we want to move backwards. So I'm going to move this up a bit to the bottom of the dollar bill. So right about there. I'm going to hit the left arrow key, and I'm going to move this up a bit. And I want to go right about there. Hit the left arrow key, and now I'm going to move this up right about there and right about there. And let's see where this one is. I'm going to move this up. Perfect. Right about like that. And I'm going to hit left again. And if I need to, I can add a point in here. So right about up like that. I can add another point just like that. I'm going to hit left one more time and see if this dollar bill is out of the shot, and it looks like it is. Perfect. So just like this. Now if I tab through, I should have this mask animating out of the screen just like that. Now what I'm going to do is go back to the window button, and I'm going to select this button right here. So now if I go back to the edit page and I play this through, this is what it should look like. You could go from beginner to pro without spending a single dollar. Pretty cool. The only thing that we need to fix here is at the beginning, there's a small little glitch in the top left. So all we have to do is go back to color, go back to tracker, and let's go to the beginning of the animation. Notice how it looks like there is this small corner off. So I'm just going to move that up and we should be good to go. So now if I go back to edit, beginner to pro without spending a single dollar. Awesome, that looks great, and that is how you can do that cool viral mask effect in DaVinci Resolve. All right, moving on to step 6, which is music and sound effects. This is where your video really comes to life. I'm gonna drag up this bar right here just so we have a lot more room to work with on the bottom here. I'm gonna go to the beginning. Now to add music onto our timeline, all we have to do is select our music track, drag and drop that onto our timeline just like that. Now if we drag this to the beginning and hit play, this is what it sounds like. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there, and it's great. All right, so the first thing that we definitely have to do is lower the volume of this audio track. So I'm gonna select the music track, go up to volume, and we'll start off with -30. I'm gonna hit enter. And we don't want all of this gap right here, so I'm just gonna go to the end of the music and drag this back. Just like that should be good. Can make sure that that's snapped to the end. Perfect. I'm just gonna drag this up a layer, extend this down. All right, so let's see how this sounds. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there, and it's totally free. Cool, so that sounds pretty good. I think -30 might be a little too low. We can do -25. To pro without spending a... Maybe we can even bring this up a little bit more, -20. Templates or color correct. That's a little too loud, so I think -25 is perfect. Now, one thing I'd love to do with music is find a pretty epic part of the song and bring that in at the beginning of the video. So I'm gonna go over to this section right here. A single dollar. Seriously, this isn't... If I solo this out right here, you'll be able to hear the drop of the music. So this is kind of when the beat comes in. I think this is probably one of the cooler parts of the song. So I'm just gonna zoom in, find that drop right there, select the music, hit Command B, cut that, delete the beginning half, and I'm gonna bring this to the beginning of the timeline just like that, extend this out. So now the video starts on the beat of the music. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there, and it's totally free. You could do cool effects like this, add a sweet title from content creator templates, or color correct footage in seconds using a LUT. You could go from beginner to pro without spending a single dollar. Seriously, this is insane. Pretty sweet. I think this sounds awesome. Now there's one cool thing that we can do to this music track to kind of give it a nice little loop effect. So when people are watching our shorts, it's fun to have it seamlessly loop in the background so it's not very jarring from the last frame to the first frame. And an easy way to do that is looping the music, or at least giving the illusion that the music is looping. So what we can do is select the music, hold down Option, and drag down here to duplicate it. We just want to bring that to the end just like that. I'm going to extend this down a little bit so we can see. Now what I'm going to do is extend the beginning of this just a little bit, just kind of like that. I'm gonna bring this back just like that. So I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit. And now I'm gonna fade this in and I'm gonna fade this out. Make sure these end at the same time. Perfect, so now everything ends at the exact same time. Now if we wanna play this video back in a loop to see what it would sound like for our viewer, all we have to do is go up here to loop. Now we can play the video. Beginner to pro without spending a single dollar. Seriously, this is insane. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there. Cool, that sounds sick. It kind of has that beat right at the beginning and at the end. All right, so next up, we gotta add some sound effects to this. And with sound effects, what we're trying to do is emphasize any motion or activity that's happening on the screen with sound. So right at the beginning of the video, we have this cool little graphic animation coming in, and I think we gotta add some sound to this. It'll sound super good. Inside of this folder right here, which is DaVinci Resolve short form, we're just gonna go in this area, right click, then we're gonna hit new bin, which again is like a fancy word for a folder. Click this, and then we're gonna do SFX. Perfect, so now we can double click into sound effects. So let's pull up our free video editing starter pack, and we wanna locate the folder that says CCT_SFX. We wanna double click that, and we can select all these and drag them in right here. All right, so let's find a sound that works well with this graphic animation. I think a whoosh is gonna work really well. So to preview it, all we have to do is go over the thumbnail just like this. We can double click it. We can go to the beginning and play. That sounds pretty good. Let's try this one. That one's a little bit longer. I think this one's perfect right here. So I'm gonna double click it, go to the beginning, and I'm just gonna drag this down just like that. I'm gonna extend this sound down, and I'm going to zoom in so I can get nice and accurate here. And what I'm trying to do with whooshes is time up the middle of the whoosh to the middle of the action point. So in this case, the graphic comes in right about there. That's about the middle. So now I'm gonna move the middle of this sound. If it's snapping around a bit too much, all I have to do is click on the magnet. I can move this over to get a little bit more accurate. And now I can go back and see how this sounds. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there. Perfect, and now I can do the same thing at the end. Now I could drag this in and do the same thing, or what I could do is zoom out a little bit, hold down Option, and click and drag this over, just like that. So for this one right here, I can add a pop sound effect. So this is the peak point of the motion. It really pops out right here. This is the biggest that it gets. So I'm gonna locate pop right here, and I'm gonna click and drag this down. And let's see how this sounds. Free. You could do, cool, so that sounds a little loud, so I'm just gonna click on this, and I'm gonna click the volume right here and move this to -10. We don't want the sound effects to be too overpowering. We just want them to emphasize the video, not distract anything from it. So let's see how this sounds. Totally free. You could do cool effects like this, add a sweet title. Awesome, and that would be the process for sound effects. We're locating key moments that are happening on the screen, and then we're matching up those key moments with sound effects. All right, so the video is all done. Now it's time for step number 7, and that is to export. Now, right before we export, I like to do one thing, and that's called a final pass. This is when I watch the video from the beginning to the end and make any adjustments if I need to tweak anything. Usually I might adjust some color corrections or some captions. So I'm gonna go back through this video and give it a final pass. All right, so I just finished going through this video and I made a couple small adjustments. I forgot to color correct a couple clips, so I just went through and did that. Now that we're all done, we've done our final pass, let's go down to the deliver page. Click this. Now there's a couple key settings here to get the best quality out of our video. The first thing we gotta do is name this thing. So let's call this short form video. Next, let's select a location. I'm gonna send this to the same folder that I was building out this video. And what I'm gonna do is select new folder here and call this exports. And I wanna send this to the exports folder. So I'm gonna hit save. You could send it to your desktop though, it doesn't really matter. I just kind of like to keep everything organized under the same folder. Next, we're gonna come down to format right here, and we're gonna click this and select MP4. For the codec, we can select H.264. For resolution, we wanna select timeline resolution. For frame rate, we wanna select timeline frame rate. Now, if you're exporting your video with captions, it's very important that you do this next step. If you want the captions to appear on your video, go down to subtitle settings, click this, and then select export subtitle. Under format, click this dropdown and select burn into video. Then you're going to want to select add to render queue and then select render all. And boom, just like that, you have now exported a video for TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. DaVinci Resolve is the best editing software out there, and it's totally free. You could do cool effects like this, add a sweet title from content creator templates, or color correct footage in seconds using a LUT. You could go from beginner to pro without spending a single dollar. Seriously, this is insane. All right, that's all for this video. Definitely check out content creator templates if you want to speed up your workflow. And if you're interested in creating super cinematic videos using your smartphone, check out 14-Day Filmmaker. I linked both of those below this video. If you're interested in watching a deep dive into DaVinci Resolve, definitely check out the video on the screen right now. That does it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.